Zack Snyder's Justice League stars Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Ray Fisher. And basically, this movie has the same plot from the 2017 or 2018 Justice League. That there's these mother boxes. Steppenwolf wants to get these mother boxes so he can combine them and destroy the world and get out of exile. And basically, that means that Ben Affleck's Batman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman band together, and they want to find these recruits and team up and make the Justice League to eventually stop him. And this movie was pushed by like a movement, you guys. Like, if you guys don't know the full story behind this, Zack Snyder was creating this movie and he started to go in this a bit darker tone. The studio didn't necessarily like the dark tone that he's going, started to cut corners, take stuff away from him, and then eventually, very sadly, his daughter passed away, so he completely stepped back from the production. And then they got in Joss Whedon to reshoot and refilm a lot of the scenes and then make it under 2 hours. And then we got that weird Frankenstein monster kind of movie back then, which was just not good. So fans have been pushing for the Snyder Cut to eventually be released, and they let him finish what he was going to do. They let him film everything he was wanting to film, and Zack Snyder finally got out his cut, and now we have the Justice League Snyder Cut. And is it better than the 2017 movie? Well, let's find out by starting off with the good. And the best thing I can say about this movie is that everything is better than the Whedon cut. Like, everything in this movie is better. The characters, the action, the story, like, everything is so much better in this film. Let's start off with the characters. I liked all of them. I think that Cyborg is really well developed, and I think that Ray Fisher is pretty good in this movie. He kind of has this robotic tone, but I can kind of buy into that because he is Cyborg, so he's part, like, robot and stuff like that. So I can kind of buy into that, and it wasn't a huge issue for me. But he plays an integral part to the story, and he is very, very well developed in this film, and you kind of see his backstory. I also do believe that Henry Cavill's Superman is a really good touch in this film, and Henry Cavill does a very good job. He's much more light-hearted in this movie, much more feels kind of like Superman, kind of like Christopher Reeve's Superman, so that was very enjoyable in this film. Also, I think that Ezra Miller's Flash is a lot better in this movie. The comedy works a lot more with him than the Whedon cut. There's no stupid jokes with him. It actually feels nice, and I like his dynamic with Jason Momoa as Aquaman, who is also good because he actually brings more kind of like disagreement to the team. You know, like team plans on something, and then Aquaman kind of disagrees with them, and you can totally understand what he's talking about and what he's saying. So I really think that helps there. And also, I feel like that Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is also another great scene stealer in this film. Probably the best action is with her, in my opinion, because she has the awesome shield and sword, and she does a lot of really cool stuff there. So I feel like her stuff is all great. And the action in this film is also just really good. The scope of the movie is just, like, huge. So the action feels big, it feels grandier, and it feels really, really cool, and it's really enthralling, and it's really intriguing, and I really loved the action in this film. I think it was great. And also, the R rating really helps with this movie, because it doesn't feel forced. Like, there's no forced, like, really gory kill or language or anything. Everything feels natural, you know? When someone gets thrown against a wall, there's going to be some blood on that wall, and that's what's on. Like, the R rating does not feel forced, so I feel like it really helps it and just kind of completes the film in general. Also, I think that Steppenwolf is a lot better in this movie. The design is a whole lot better, and his motivation is really clear in this film. He's not a great villain by any means, but he's a pretty serviceable villain, and he's a decent enough villain to where you can understand him, and he actually has a character, not like in the Whedon cut where he just sucked and I hated him. But in this one, he does do a very great job in the film. And also, just the overall story is much better in this film than in the Whedon cut, because there's certain things missing in that, and it just all feels all well-rounded, and everything fits together. So now let's move into the mixed aspects of this film, and the big one that comes to mind is that this movie sets up really cool stuff that's going to maybe happen later on, but it might not. So the setup is really cool, and if we knew that they're going to make later movies later on, then that would be really cool, but we don't. Because Zack Snyder said he might leave the entire studio, might not do any more of these, so you have no idea if he's going to do any more of these, and that's my issue, because it sets up stuff, and it might be very disappointing later on, to where it sets up, like, pretty much nothing. So the setup is really cool, but the payoff might not be there, so that might be very just disappointing in general. Another mixed aspect to me is going to be the score. Now, I think the score can really work in some scenes, but there's some scenes where it's like actual singing, and it's like the soundtrack kind of, where it feels very out of place, and I didn't really love it that much. But Wonder Woman's original theme and Man of Steel theme, and just there's another Justice League kind of theme in general that really does work for me. So it's like a countering, like some stuff I feel feels a bit off, but some stuff does really work. So the score in general I think is pretty decent. It just could have been touched on, maybe done a little bit better in my opinion. And another mixed aspect for me is going to be the length. The length of the movie isn't a full issue for me because the movie is divided into 6 parts. So you can literally stop and go watch it a different part again. Like you can stop halfway through, you can stop each part. Like that's what really helps the length for me, is that you can stop each part and you don't lose anything that you had with the previous part. Like say you stopped at part 1 and you want to go back at part 2, you still feel the same. Like it would still be a good continuation. It's kind of like reading a book. You don't lose that kind of feeling, whatever you were feeling of is with the movie. And from there on, let's move on to the bad. And this movie is like a grandeur movie. Like it's going for a huge scope, so it has to have some amazing CGI, and it does, but some of the CGI can get in the way of your experience with the film. So that was kind of a negative of mine. And another negative is with the length, there's a lot of slow-mo, a lot of scenes drag on a bit too much, I feel like. But overall, guys, for final thoughts, Justice League, the Snyder Cut is amazing. This movie is great. I feel like it's so much better than the original. Everything is so much better than the original. The action is great. The characters are great. I can't wait to see what happens later on, if something happens later on, because some of the stuff that sets up might not be paid off, but if it is, then that won't be an issue of mine, and my grade might even go up. But as for now, I'm going to give Zack Snyder's Justice League an A. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this review. Stay tuned for more reviews coming very soon. I am going up to my summer cabin for the 2nd week of spring break, so I unfortunately will not have any reviews to you guys next week unless I do something up there, which I probably won't. But just stay tuned for more very soon. I really want to check out Godzilla vs. Kong. Also, comment down below, what did you think of Zack Snyder's Justice League? Did you like it? Did you not like it? How does it compare to the original? All that fun stuff down below in the comment section. Also, hit that like and subscribe button, and as always, have a great day. See you guys.